In today's reading, we're going to be looking at a spiritual lesson that you are currently learning and where the blessing in that is. We have 3 groups to choose from today. Group number 1 is represented by the Alabaster Tablet of Layla card. Group number 2 is the Beta of Spirit Wolf card. And group number 3 is the Pearl of Shero card. If you feel called to more than one, there could be multiple spiritual lessons or tests that you're currently undertaking and multiple blessings that are going to come along with that. So use your intuition to guide you to and through the readings, taking only what resonates and leave the rest. Timestamps are below, or you can use the chapters to jump ahead to your chosen readings. We'll see you there. All right. Hi, group number 1. Welcome to your reading. You guys were drawn to the Alabaster Tablet of Layla, and I've just read through the book's description on this card, and we will read from the book afterwards, and there is a healing process that comes with that too, so we'll read that out together at the end of your reading for the purpose of healing to help you to get through this life transition, as this is what this card does talk about. Now, there were a couple of things in the card that really stood out to me, or rather in the book that really stood out to me. There was 2 references. One of them was this transition through this death process or this change and the spirits that walk with you through that. I was hearing the word psychopomp and seeing synchronicities about psychopomps this morning and last night leading up to this reading. And then the other synchronicity that stood out to me was a couple of instances this morning before sitting down to film your reading, where I was being shown references to knowing without knowing how you know, and basically trusting that intuitive or claircognizant knowing. And it does reference that in the healing process, which I thought was pretty cool. So that's what we're going to look at today. But let's find out what the lesson is here and what the blessing is. So the first deck we're going to go into is actually the Portals deck, and I was seeing myself using this before sitting down to do the reading. There was a couple of flashes that I had visions of myself using this deck today, and I haven't used it in quite a while. But when I see myself doing something beforehand, that's usually Spirit's way of telling me what we're going to do. Because it's like I'm either seeing myself in the future doing it, or I'm being shown that image so that I will use it. So okay, let's go ahead and look into this sacred transition that you're in right now, the lesson in this, and the blessing that will benefit you through this process for group number 1. Okay. Return. I am going to take all of these. Normally I'd put them back in and I'd say that's too many, but I just got this big yes. We're going to take them. So return. Birth. Feels like a rebirth. Definitely. Sunset. There is a reference in the book to this card talking about the dark night of the soul. Imagination. I'm hearing imagination change, or change in the imagination. My fluorite crystal just got nudged there. And awake. And then choice. Okay. This lesson feels kind of like a difficult ending. It is a death process, but in that death process, there's an opening of the door. There's a returning to this truer state of being. Not that the state that you were in wasn't true, but there's a level of moving toward this truer, much truer state of being. It is an awakening, it is a birth, but it is simultaneously an ending. And that's why I think that in some ways it can kind of play with the imagination here. It can kind of challenge you. The lesson may be to not let your imagination run away with you, nor to stifle it through this process of transition. The imagination is a resource that is going to help you to find your way. It's going to help you to make a decision. And awakening that side of you is going to be very helpful. But as things start to change and as you start to wash away what once was or who you sought to be. It feels like a transition of goals or a transition of motivations. It's like the philosophy that you live by, the beliefs that you have could be fundamentally shifting or changing. And as a result of that, there's a change in the way that you're seeing the world. Now, the imagination can sometimes go into dark corners of the mind when those types of processes take place within us. The spiritual journey is not all light and seeking. Sometimes it is darkness and falling, and that's okay. That is the oscillation of the wave, the up, the down, the peak, the trough. It's normal. Now, the thing, though, is just to be aware of this, because the lesson in this is, I feel, to be aware. The more aware you can be, the more awake you become, the more independent you can be to make these choices, to make these decisions, to take action, and to allow yourself to play with the options in a little bit more of an intangible way. I wasn't going to go in with more of these, but I feel like I want to. So let's just fill out this bottom row. Other world. An otherworldly experience awaits, I just heard. An otherworldly experience awaits. And it's like, what's on the other side of birth? Death. And what's on the other side of death? Birth. Oneness. Well, what's on the other side of death? Oneness. What's on the other side of birth? The illusion of separation. Underwater realm. Being underwater when you're a land-dwelling being is like being in another world. And there's actually more options for how to maneuver when you're in that. You don't just go backwards and forwards. You can actually go up and down as well. So there's more of an ability to move freely. And I'm seeing this in the dimension of the astral realm here, connected to the imagination. So this feels like a very profound lesson that you're going through, group number 1, in regard to this transition and traversing of the mind. On the bottom, we have seclusion, Hermit card energy, helping you to take time away from the mundane or away from the physical reality, the material world, to reconnect with this deeper inner part of yourself that is wishing to be reborn, reawakened, and that is calling you to help it to come home. Now I'm going to go in with some tarot. So let's get some additional information here for group number 1 in regard to this lesson. And we'll look at the blessing. You see how these are kind of coming out in chunks. I'm going to take those two because I feel them, but these cards all came out in chunks and then we had to get the rest. But it feels like there's something about this big download that comes in all at once, or like this knowing that just hits you all at once and you don't know how you know it. That's claircognizance in a nutshell. It's kind of like you get a big download or a file or this data that just comes through psychically. And it's not like visual or auditory, because those are different clairs. When it's claircognizant, it's just like a big chunk. And it's like you don't necessarily have the information in its individual bite-sized form, which we are going to go into here with these cards. But instead, you get the whole thing and you just know how you know. Or rather, sorry, you know that you know, but you don't know how you know. Okay. Now, again, we have choice here. I'm feeling that card as well. With this Two of Wands, it's giving me similar energy to this choice card. It's kind of like there's 2 paths in this one, there's 3 paths in this one, and it's up to you which direction you're going to go. Now I'm seeing somebody like grabbing their walking stick and getting ready. I'm hearing on a mission, getting ready to make some kind of a decision that's going to take you in a direction that is in some ways unknown or otherworldly. This is something that might turn your world on its head, because all of these cards came out reversed. Now, sure, I could be holding the deck upside down, but there's a mix in this one because I use this deck so much, but it feels significant to me that I want to keep them that way because it feels like something's being turned on its head. But in a sense, that's a good thing because there's a return perhaps to innocence. This little toy puppy here is making me think of a return to innocence. And I think that maybe what was lost in the birth into the physical world from the other world was that sense of innocence as things kind of grounded into structural form, and that illusion of separateness took over the experience of oneness and the knowing of oneness. And you kind of like go from up in this light realm down into this underwater depth, and the imagination becomes separate from the self and is only accessible through play or as a child or in dreams, when really it's actually your true state of being. And it has light and dark aspects. That's why we need to learn. And I think part of this lesson is choice on how to use your mind, basically. How to use your psychic abilities, how to create and how to receive, and how to create and how to receive and how to create. So the Queen of Swords here could be like you're really dropping out of this realm of logical thought and choosing based on like a pros and cons list or what seems logical. Instead, it's really it's a much more intuitive process. With this choice card down here, it's reminding me of the scene in Lord of the Rings when Gandalf, which is actually a character, an egregore archetype that came up this morning, the wise wizard. I was thinking about Gandalf today. Now that I see this card, it's kind of fitting together here. But it reminds me of the scene when they're in the mines of Moria, and there's a split in the path, and it becomes 3 tunnels. And Gandalf says, "I have no memory of this place." And they're like, "Oh crap, we're screwed. What are we going to do? We're down in the depths of this mine. There's potential threats around every corner. We need to get out of here. We don't want to be wandering in this dungeon forever." And instead of panicking, Gandalf sits and contemplates, and he ultimately ends up making a decision based on his sense of smell. So it's not about what's logical, because that's not a logical thing to do, is it? This one smells fresher, so let's go that way. Maybe it is because the air quality would indicate perhaps going upward instead of downward. But it doesn't immediately give the impression of wisdom, or it doesn't immediately give the impression of a conclusion that one would come to in that kind of a circumstance. So there's something here about you sort of, I'm hearing the word transcending, but I was going to say sort of like temporarily suspending disbelief, temporarily dispending, I'm hearing dispensing with, I meant to say suspending again, but dispending. Temporarily suspending this disbelief so that the logical mind doesn't get in the way of following that knowing without knowing how you know it. Okay? You following here? The Star card reversed as well. Well, this feels like actualization. Interesting that that's the message coming from this. It's actualization. And the star is a sun. Or suns are stars, I should say. Our sun is a star. So something about sunset, because the Star card reversed here feels like a star set. A sunset. Queen of Wands reversed as well. And the Two of Pentacles. I'm hearing dual realms. I'm hearing dual citizenship. Now, in this sense, what I'm seeing here with this lesson is that you are the walker between worlds, group number 1. You are not of this world, and yet you are. You are not of that world, and yet you are. And so you're in this in-between. And in that state of in-between is an access point to return to oneness, to compel yourself back together in your wholeness, to awaken. But it's a difficult thing to do, because the lesson there isn't about whether it's about light or dark, good or bad, earthly realm or spiritual realm. It's both. And it's a difficult things for human who are sort of programmed to be dualistic in our perspective. And this is more of an allistic perspective that's awakening here. The imagination is going to take you on that trip if you are willing to go along. Now, the benefit, the blessing that really comes out of this is your ability to trust the senses that live within you. That's what I'm getting from these 2 Queen cards, very sensitive, knowing queen cards, feminine energy here, but it's reversed and it's very internal. It's secluded away. It's something you don't see, but it's there. It's operating behind the scenes nonetheless. And your intuition, your psychic abilities, your inner knowing is producing real, tangible information that the logical brain might not be able to understand or reproduce. And sometimes it has hesitancy upon acting on it as well. But the blessing here is if you can trust this process, and it is a choice to do so, by the way, choice. It is a choice to trust. It is an action and it needs your participation. If you can choose to do that, the balancing of this energy will allow you to reclaim both sides of yourself. And I'm hearing the word sovereignty. And in the reclaiming of these both sides of yourself, you're unlocking layers of you that have magical abilities. The imagination is one resource of that. It's a conduit, it's a bridge, just like this oneness here. It's a bridge to the other side, to this underwater realm of the subconscious and to the other world of the spiritual. And it can help you to make big life decisions or to traverse these big life transitions with grace, with trust. And I'm hearing the word aplomb, not a plum as in a fruit, but aplomb, almost like with dignity. I would have to look up the word. I'll put it here once I Google it after the reading. But with a plum, okay? Let's see, what else? Page of Cups, innocence. This is really what it feels like to me. A return to innocence. 9 of Wands, and I'm hearing no hope lost to the weary. Oh, that's an interesting phrase. No hope lost to the weary. Well, the 9 of Wands can be the wounded warrior or the weary warrior. You know, he's fought so many battles, he's come so far, and he may still have a ways to go, but he's actually closer than he thinks. Right after 9 comes 10, which is the completion and the resetting to the new stage, to the rebirth. So very, very close, but it may feel like it's a really large, daunting task to do this transition or to go through this awakening or to keep pushing when you've really been knocked down time and time again. It's difficult to keep making that decision from this place of knowing and place of faith and place of trust when the physical reality around you keeps challenging you or keeps hitting you over the head. But there's no faith lost here for the weary. There's something about this inner faith, this wellspring that just keeps replenishing itself. You can drink from it all day and it's never going to run dry. It's never going to run dry because that wellspring of faith is infinite and it lives within you. And it's the source through which that wellspring of knowing arrives, is born, and is accessible to you. 7 of Wands, interesting. I'm going to leave them all reversed because that's a special message in and of itself. You know what the 7 of Wands is talking to me about here? It feels like where you were reserved about this shift, this transition, this change, where you were trying to protect yourself by holding things at bay or creating resistance to this process, you're going to, or the lesson here is to surrender to it entirely. And it's not to say that you let go or let down your barrier, your boundaries. Let's put it better that way. It's not to say that you let down your boundaries. It's to say that you know what's worth fighting for here. And how do you know that? Once again, because you know, because you feel, because you sense, because you intuit. You know what you know beyond your knowing. You know what you know beyond your knowing. Now, this other deck was one that I had this card, Focus on the Positive. I found it in one of the baskets that I have on my desk, and it was just solo. It was just sitting there by itself. It was separated from the deck, from the rest of it, that it needed to reunite with that rest of the deck. And so I was not even looking for this one today. I was just looking for other decks that we were going to use in this reading. And then this one called to me, but I was seeing it from this side. So I didn't realize that it was actually this same deck until I turned it over and I saw the back. So there's something about looking at something from both sides, both angles, left and right, front and back, up and down. Seeing in 360 degrees is part of this lesson and the blessing that comes along with it, because it is what? Perspective. And with that perspective that is coming from this point of unity, as above, so below, as within, so without, this mirroring effect at all of these different multidimensional levels, you may want to scream this from the rooftops once you've realized what's going on here and you've discovered or reawakened this part of yourself. Once you've come to this level of consciousness, which was, by the way, hard won and did very much challenge and test you and your faith, your belief, your imagination, your innocence, your hope, your hopefulness, your optimism. It's like you're going to want to share this with everyone because it's a beautiful state of knowing that you've been able to achieve with this lesson. Express your feelings. And so you're going to want to express that. That's what I was feeling. You know, like when people say, I'm in love, and I don't care who knows it. I'm going to shout it from the mountaintops and shout it from the rooftops. It feels like that, but it's not about a significant other that you're in love with. It's your own existence as a state or point of the oneness. This is a significant spiritual awakening. This is a significant spiritual shift. And like I was just saying, you're going to want to share that. This card just confirms it. You're going to want to share that, but you may still be hesitant about how to do that. Or you still may have some tests around protecting yourself and not getting carried away. So there's this balancing. There's this maturity that needs to mature right along with this innocence. And there it is again. Focus on the positive. Something about the pot calling the kettle black just wanted to come out of my mouth as well. Pot calling the kettle black. Like they're both black. So there's no need to project. Instead, it's like you see the sameness of everything, the oneness of everything. There's no need to project or blame or shame or even fear or fall into helplessness or hopelessness, because you are aware that everything is one and it's all connected. So there's no need to panic. There's no need to panic. Keep calm, carry on. Accept struggles as lessons. That's the thing. It does come with some struggle, right? This catalytic moment of awakening is called the dark night of the soul for a reason. It is struggle, but it is so beautiful because what comes out of it is hugely different than the point that you started from. And it can happen quite quickly, which is why it can sometimes feel overwhelming. But if you are willing to accept that, not fight against it, not struggle against it or resist, if you really kind of see this from the bigger picture here, and you let go of the attachment or the need to understand it or control it, if you just kind of let yourself go through this process and be with yourself through it, more importantly, be with yourself through it, that's when things are really going to change and these struggles turn into lessons, turn into blessings. You are never alone. That's what I was just saying. Thank you again, Spirit, for confirming. Be with yourself through it. You are never alone, never ever alone, because everything is one. Everything is one. There is no separation. That's part of the illusion. But when you've been out of your element for so long, it's difficult to remember that. But this is your call to remember that. And look at that. Never judge another. That's why I was wondering why this pot calling the kettle black energy is coming up. Never judging another, because you've seen it from both sides, from all angles, from multiple perspectives. You can understand why that person feels that way and why you feel this way and why they're different or why they're the same. But you're not holding on to any animosity or judgment, because you know that there's no point to that struggle. Or maybe that's the lesson you're learning. That's the struggle you need to accept, is that there is no separation. There's no need to blame anyone for anything. You can hold yourself and other people accountable, but my God, there is no reason to judge. Especially when you don't know the whole story. Because everybody's journey is different and you don't know what their soul signed up for. You could be looking at it from the outside and going, they're doing it all wrong and they think they know, but I know what they need. And you would be wrong. you would be surprised how wrong you are and how many times people have been wrong about that. How I've been wrong about that in looking at other people's journeys and had to learn through this same struggle, through this same awakening, through the same making peace with the oneness, to understand that until we see it from this higher perspective, in which case I've been shown glimpses of other people's pathways, like their soul stream and the trajectory of the lessons that they've lived through lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, before and after Earth, and so on and so forth. And it gave me perspective. It gave me such a realization of never to judge anyone's choices, actions, beliefs, lived situation. Sometimes the human mind still wants to do that, but I have to check that, because each time I'm like, remember the lesson there. Remember what you saw. Remember what you learned. And each time I come back to that knowing of, oh yeah, everything has a reason. Everything has a purpose. Everyone has chosen what they've chosen for a reason. It's all about this lived experience through choice, through free will. And there's never a wrong choice. That's the whole thing. There's never a wrong choice. You can just choose again and choose differently as many times as you need to. Abundance is your right. Part of this blessing, part of this lesson is the abundance of knowing. The golden rule, follow the golden rule, which in this case is everything is one. That's the golden rule. Everything is one. So treat everybody as you would be treating yourself. Do unto others as you would have done unto you. Very sacred and yet practical advice. It's right on many levels. It's right on all levels, because the oneness hits every level there. So being able to understand the process of your journey gives you perspective of others as well, because maybe you see something differently on the other side of this major change than you did before. And so you can understand how people still see it the way that you used to, because you were there. You stood in those shoes. You get that. This is why this awakening is so valuable. I'm hearing wait for it. Wait for what? They said wait for the knowing to arrive. That's what I heard. Wait for the knowing to arrive. So if you're still questioning, if you're still reaching for answers, that doesn't mean that they're not coming or that you're doing the wrong thing. But just wait, because they'll arrive. And they'll arrive in due time, in divine time. And that's when things will become very, very clear. Very, very clear. And sometimes it just takes time to live through that experience to have the perspective that you need. It's gained, not given, is what Spirit just said. Okay, that's what I just heard. Gained, not given. It's gained, not given, meaning you have to explore it through experience. It's not something that's just, given to you. However, that clear cognizance comes through in lived experience when you are willing to trust it. And that big download of information can be gained through that, I want to say, impartiality and non-duality. Okay, so the vacation card here, or the hammock card, taking a vacation physically or mentally, and you had seclusion. Oh, look what's underneath that. I just pulled that, and you've got transformation coming out of the cocoon stage. This has been a major collective theme for the past couple of readings, or at least the past month. I don't know, like more than a couple readings. This energy of the cocoon, the caterpillar, the cocoon, the butterfly, it's been coming up so much. Like I'm feeling inundated by that transformation energy and the symbology of I'm hearing molting, but the shifting, changing, evolving butterfly. Now, what I was going to say with the hammock is that whenever Spirit shows me hammocks, I know that I need to take a break. I know that I need to take a rest. And especially if you're doing something really intense, think of the cocoon or the chrysalis. For a butterfly, it's technically a chrysalis. Cocoon is for moth. But anyway, I digress. Point being is that this cocoon, this chrysalis, is kind of like the hammock for the butterfly becoming the caterpillar. So you need to take time away for yourself through this process, because that's what helps it happen. It's not a very active process. It's actually quite a passive process. Although you would think that this transformation requires action. It does on the other side. But when you're still trying to ascend to that level or do this transformation, it's actually just sitting there and waiting. Okay. Hand, in need of help, assistance, and guidance. I'm hearing lending a hand, cup. You should accept valid criticism. Okay, what I'm actually getting from that, look at that, the pot calling the kettle black, the teapot. Again, it's like some kind of valid criticism doesn't need to be there. It really doesn't need to be there. Because it may be valid criticism, but it might not be helpful criticism. It may be coming from judgment, which is not focusing on the positive, which is not coming from the oneness, which is not accessing these underworld, otherworld realms of possibility or realms of existence. It's really not honoring the wholeness of the entity that you are working with, even yourself. So not judging yourself, not criticizing yourself and your process and what it looks like and how long it may take. Part of this whole transformation is letting it be what it is. Just letting it be what it is. Now, if you are in need of help, you are in need of assistance, part of this is relaxing into that. Because I feel this sense of release of tension that needs to happen to allow this struggle to transform into a lesson, because this is what it is. Rainbow. And then what comes after that? The rainbow comes after the storm. The rainbow comes after that dark night of the soul. The most difficult part of the situation is over. So that struggle transforms into the lesson, which then reveals the blessing. It reveals the blessing. The lesson is the blessing. They're not separate. And the pale, time to get out of a situation. Now, these both say situation. Isn't that interesting? Situation. And the pale's reminding me of that infinite well of renewable hope within you, where you lowered that pale down and you pull it back up. But sometimes you might be really tired and exhausted, feeling depleted, and that's when sometimes you might need a hand. And it's okay if you do, because everybody does at some point. And to criticize that or to judge yourself or someone else for needing a hand is not the best use of your energy. I just split the deck on this one again, and let go of ego is right there. Let go of ego. So letting go of ego is part of this lesson. Detaching from the need to understand things or to understand the world or to understand other people or the process you're going through. You don't need to understand the situation necessarily to resolve the conflict within it. I'm hearing conflagration. So it's like this fire that's burning, feels like the fires of transmutation. What you do need to do is focus on what you can do in each moment, which is to just kind of like let go. Just relax. Let this energy flow through you, because this is a very receptive, very deep, very bottomless type of energy. And the further down you go, the further up you go, because there's no right or wrong here. There's no duality. So like whichever direction you choose to go, you're exploring, you're getting the wisdom that comes from that. Okay, anything else you want to say here, Spirit? I'm feeling called to this deck. And then we'll, 3333 as I haven't looked at the time in a while, but I looked up at it once I grabbed this deck. So let's see. The Lion. Courage, strength, releasing pride. The shadow side of the lion is ego or pride. So releasing that, letting go of that, standing in your true strength. Now, this also reminds me, and this imagery came up in the Capricorn collective reading that I did here on the channel. It was like the thorn in the lion's paw. And I'm seeing that here with the hand. It's like both the thorn in the hand that needs to be pulled out, but also a helping hand that can help the lion to relieve that struggle, that suffering, or that strife. And it feels like the hand of God, the hand of the divine comes in to lend you a proverbial hand to help you out of a situation that may have left you feeling helpless, or just, like everything is toil and struggle, when it's not. It's not, and it's okay for you to experience that, but the shift of perspective here, focusing on the positive, not to bypass the situation, but to accept it and dissolve it, to not judge it, allows you to actually experience what it has to offer you. And to intake that is going to bring a lot of very relevant, powerful, sovereign personal information. And information is not the right word. Sorry, let me correct myself there. I want to say personal power. And that's not even the right word. It's personal consciousness, I guess, would be the best. Personal energy consciousness, the same thing. Now let's take a look at the book here in regard to the alabaster tablet of Layla. It says, you are remembering at a soul level. You are tapping into greater awareness, and an understanding of your highest life purpose shall become even clearer to you. This may evoke unsettling change within you, but that change is necessary for a new way to manifest. You are protected and guided at all times, especially when you feel uncertain about your course. You are truly loved. Now, I'm not going to read this whole thing, but I'm going to hold it up so that hopefully if you guys want to take a screenshot or you want to pause and read that, you are free to do so. I'll turn the page and do that same thing here as well. But we are going to do the healing message together, the healing process. Okay, so as you relax and become increasingly aware of your breath, flowing in and out, allow yourself to be present in this moment. Let your awareness shift from the daily world to the sacred inner world. You can see, sense, visualize, or feel that sacred inner world as you read or listen to the description below. There is a point of light within your heart. As you notice that light, it rapidly expands, and you feel a sense of love and recognition. You know, without knowing how you know, that this light is a friend from long, long ago. The light becomes a beautiful feminine angel. Her light shines like a gentle sun, and you feel warmed in her presence. She casts her hand, and a path appears. It is your path, the best way for you to proceed. Notice how you feel about this path. Can you accept it? Embrace it? Trust it? As you take a step, you realize she is with you. Your heart then remembers she has always been with you and shall always be with you. I don't think I need to explain how magically aligned all of these cards are with that description, with that healing process. I think you can see the connections for yourself. So I'm going to leave it there. I'm sending you lots of love, group number 1, as you go through this magical, absolutely wonderful, massive consciousness transformation and awakening. Much love, many blessings. Thank you so much for being here on the channel. I hope these readings are helpful. Just take what resonates and leave the rest as always. And I hope that they're helping you to develop your intuition, strengthen your spiritual knowing, your internal gifts, and your evolution process. If you guys would like a personal or private reading with me, I do have those options available, as well as temporarily, I'm re-offering Reiki again. I haven't done that in a few years, and Spirit called me to do it. So that's what I'm offering at this time. I guess a lot of people are needing energy healing more than normal at this point in this collective shift that's taking place. So the pricing and how to order the video recorded like this style of reading or Reiki is in the description box below. Thank you to the members who support my work here on the channel. Big shout out to you guys for being there on the Soul Tribe tier and the Soul Family tier, supporting my work and helping me to continue producing content. I love and appreciate you all. We'll see you in the next reading. Bye. All right. Hi, group number 2. Welcome to your reading. You guys chose the Beta of Spirit Wolf card, and we are going to be reading from the book on this one and doing the healing process together, but we'll do that at the end. Now we're talking about the lesson, the blessing, the test you're being put to right now. And in this card, it talks about rest. So it feels like you may be called right now or in this test to slow down, to trust the process, to allow things to unfold and not push too hard or for anything. Yeah, I'm just really strongly getting a message about trusting the process. Letting something messy unfold. I'm hearing letting something messy unfold. Something about courage is coming up as well, having courage. Okay. So we've got the 4 of Pentacles and the 9 of Wands. It did come out in reverse, so I'll leave it like that. The Ace of Cups, the 6 of Swords, the Fool card, Five of Pentacles, okay, and the 3 of Pentacles as well. Right. I'll get 3 more. And 3. Right, yeah, I was just going to put this down, but 4 of Swords is on the bottom. So this seems to confirm that message of needing rest, needing to slow down, taking time to process right now. The Star card. It's difficult to do this process, or the lesson here is like you might feel as though you need to be taking action. You might feel like resting on your laurels is a major risk, or your nervous system could be driving you to take action because something is feeling unstable right now. But I'm getting this feeling of the best thing you can actually do is just to let yourself have some time. Because in doing that, there's this self-healing process that I'm seeing that is more anchoring than anything you could do in the outside world, anything that you could push for or act on. The real action is about releasing or surrendering the need to control or to act and being able to just sit with yourself. Being able to just be. 2 of Pentacles. And the Ace of Swords. Okay. It feels like there's a sense of freedom that you achieve here as part of the blessing in this lesson. A sense of achievement that comes from clarity of mind that occurs when you let things be what they are. It feels like there's a time and place to look for solutions. And in this lesson, it's more like the solution will come to you when you step out of the way or step to the side and just allow it to come through. I'm hearing making pressured choices doesn't benefit you. Making pressured choices doesn't benefit you. And you have the Death card in reverse. You have 2 aces and the Fool. So this is an activation. This is a fresh start. This is a new beginning. This is a rebirth. But in that, it requires you to, I just keep getting this feeling of needing to relax. Needing to step back, needing to step aside. Needing to just let it happen. And the star card again. So you have that twice. Solutions or hope may feel very far away in this lesson. And the ironic thing is that the more that you try to move towards that hope or towards that solution or towards the ending of this problem, the more you try to push forward, the further away it gets. It's part of the illusion of this lesson, but that's basically what I'm being shown. And in those moments when you feel driven by a motor internally to try and resolve a problem, or you feel this intense sense of pressure to put everything that you've got into making a solution, the lesson or the task that you are being tested with here is to first step back, let go, and turn inward, because it's in that moment of stillness, it's in that moment of peace that the answer comes to you, that the action is inspired from within you rather than having it be something that your mind is telling you to do that drives you forward but pushes you further from the goal. So the stars here are both telling me that what you need and what you desire, the peace you're seeking in this equation, is available to you. It's right there. But in seeking it outside of you and in pressuring yourself to seek it outside of you or thinking that that's the only option, you're not allowing it to be there. The Chariot. The number 7 is coming through. And 7 is about rest and peace and spiritual attunement and introspection. It's about planning as well. It's also about trust. Trust. Yeah, okay. Trust. That's part of this lesson. It's teaching yourself how to trust your inner knowing, your inner peace, your inner being. The Tower. Especially during times of upheaval, but I'm not seeing too much of that here. On the outside, okay, and then strength as well, strength reversed on the bottom. So this is inner strength. This is inner strength to deal with inner chaos. There's a little bit of a trickster energy here, I must say. The outside world, the situation you're in, the lesson and the way that it's presenting itself to you physically may actually feel worse than it is on the inside than it actually is. But there's an aspect of this illusion, of this lesson, and the purpose of it that is attempting to teach you where you've lost sight of the bigger goal here or the bigger picture, and how to get back to that through attunement to yourself. And it's in those moments of peace, trust, surrender, acceptance, going inward, slowing down, breathing, centering yourself, that all of this becomes clear. Now, this trickster energy is not meant to lead you astray. If anything, it's actually me. I didn't mean to say me. Yeah, well, I do work with trickster energy, but the good kind, the fox kind, not the nefarious kind. The trickster is you, because I am you, you are me. So the trickster is really actually you. And by leading yourself astray, you're showing yourself that there's only one true home. Because the more that you look for that home or that peace or that settling feeling outside of you, the further away from it you're going to get. And the more pressure you put on yourself to get that which you are seeking outside, the less satisfying it's going to feel. That's the trickster's job, is to show you through the process of being led astray that doesn't work. And then all you're left with is to turn around and look inward. That's the only thing that remains at that point. And from there, you're able to rebuild by reconnecting. Now, I want to go in with this energy oracle deck as well. What else does group number 2 need to know here in this lesson? Woman holding a coin. Okay, let's talk about these pentacle cards now because it's time. 4 of Pentacles, 5 of Pentacles, 3 of Pentacles, and 2 of Pentacles. And then this woman holding a coin. Pentacles are coins. So there is a financial aspect to this, or at the very least, a material aspect to this. And it's kind of this idea of if I find the security that I'm seeking, or if I'm able to build that outside of myself, like if I can actually look at something tangible and physical that's real in my reality on the outside and feel safe, then I am going to feel truly safe, truly centered, truly at peace. And as many very rich people can tell you, billionaires, if you ever sat down and had a conversation with them and asked them if they're truly at peace, I'd probably be willing to wager that they would say no. And so it's not about what's out there or what you can acquire to build security. It first must be established inside the self, and it must be unshakable so that when you build it on the outside, no matter the state of your external reality, that unshakable peace within you cannot be taken away. No matter what tower moments arise in your life, you're always able to move to the next thing with grace and with peace in your heart because you trust your own sense of knowing. You trust your own inner peace. And the connection to yourself is the foundation of that. So this woman holding a coin here, the lesson is really about the material world, material wealth and security. Changes on the material front, on the financial front, are tests. And since the main message here with the the beta wolf, I didn't mean to say alpha, but that's important as well, alpha and beta. Which one is in a position of power? And which one are you? It's reminding me of the allegory of the 2 wolves. Whichever one you feed, that's the one that wins the battle. Either fear, or in this case, I would say faith and trust. Love, really. So the woman holding a coin here is making me think of betting on yourself. Being able to hold space for yourself. I just heard something about a wise man once said, and a Gandhi quote. I'm not being given the actual quote, but something about a wise man once said, and a Gandhi quote. The world without and the world within, or the world without and the world with. So because this wolf talks about rest here, and there's this feeling of perhaps insecurity or this attempt to build in the outside world, to rebuild the self or to rebuild something that was lost, it seems counterintuitive to slow down and to rest. But in the bigger picture of things, that again is going to help this whole process along. It's going to give you the direction. And that's the most important thing. It's not about how fast you can go. It's about the direction you're going. And part of this lesson is about readjustment, because a very small indiscrepancy in the direction of the trajectory you are heading in. I'm seeing a compass pointing north, the North Star, moral principles, inner truth, inner guidance, your inner GPS, okay? Any small discrepancy is going to put you way further afield than you would expect because of this sort of chaos theory of if you start here and you slightly angle it, if you're meant to be here and then you end up way over here because of this tiny little indiscrepancy, it's much more productive to check in with the self and make sure that you're heading in the right direction by getting still and centered and feeling into things, becoming clear internally, than it is to spend all your time moving in that direction and then looking over and going, oh my God, I'm so far away of where I wanted to be. And now I have to either backtrack or I have to trudge through to get to where I was intending. And there's nothing wrong with that either. It's all part of the lesson. But if you can do it more easily, more affluently with this connection to yourself, then why wouldn't you? Door to romance. Perhaps your goal is love. Perhaps your goal is financial success or financial freedom. Whatever it is, the direction you're going in matters more than the mode of transportation or the speed. Man holding a coin. Wow, woman holding a coin and man holding a coin. There's a lot of abundance here. That's part of the blessing. There's a lot of love. There's a lot of abundance. There's a lot of connection. There's an entire world here that you can build. But you're being tasked with the clarity and perception of self to make very sure, and to double check as often as you need to, and there's no harm or shame in that, to keep rechecking, is this the right direction? Contract. This is part of an agreement. An agreement between two people, romantically, financially. A contract between you and the world's soul. And in this lesson and in this blessing, you become much better able to navigate the ins and outs, the ups and downs of life. And you become indestructibly stable within yourself. And what you build out there will in some regards reflect that. But it's not dependent. You are not dependent on that outside reflection of your stability. And that's the whole point. That's the lesson. That's the contract. I feel these three as well. Healer of the ages. Patience. Yeah. Patience. Taking time to slow down and having patience. Third chakra, Archangel Chamuel. I heard the instigator with him. Interesting. So this is your inner security. This is your ability to build. This is your will center. It's the action-oriented masculine principle, the solar plexus, the third chakra. It's what takes our ideas and makes them manifest out in the world through our actions. That's how it's able to build things. Building relationships, building foundations, building resources, building ourselves up through healing practices, building our goals out into reality. But it's also an area that if we deplete, if we push too hard, we become very drained, lethargic, fatigued, overdrawn, energetically, financially. And it creates a power imbalance. It is the source of our own personal power. And if we've drained that, or we're allowing that to be drained, then ultimately these scales of balance become imbalanced. And so again, it is worth taking the time to sit and be still so that that inner balance can be restored. And then, and only then, from that point of balance internally, can things be shifted on the outside. And I'm hearing making great strides. And then from there, you're able to make great strides. But you and your energy are not a perpetual motion machine. You cannot just continue to keep going forever. Your physical form will require rest. It will require nourishment. It will require time to recuperate. And it does go through phases of masculine yang energy, which is the output. It is the action phase and cycle, and yin phases, which are the internal rest stages, where we slow down. And a lot of people in this world are not aware of those cycles within themselves, and our society obviously reflects that. Hustle culture. I'll rest when I'm dead mentality. It's not sustainable. It's not spiritually balanced. And it's not congruent with the intuition and the building out of these goals, the completion of these contracts, the blessings that are meant to come through the experience of these lessons. So part of this is patience with yourself and your process, as well as patience with the divine and the divine timing of all of this. From there, it becomes about patience with your application of the divine intuitive spark that is given to you to take action in alignment at the right time with the right people. Because in those moments is when true catalyst for change takes place. And in those moments, the amount of energy that is output becomes exponential. It's more than the sum of its parts. And so one moment of aligned action is worth much more, physically and extra-dimensionally, than a million actions coming from a place of misalignment. Now, I'm being drawn to the tarot again, so let's get a few more cards here, and then I think we'll go into the healing process. The Chariot again, reversed, and I'm hearing take your time. Take all the time you need. And the Fool card again. To slow down is grace. It is divine grace. Five of Wands. Five of Pentacles did come out underneath here, but this is actually the Five of Wands. But this mistake is not a mistake. Nothing is in readings. Actually, I would go so far as to say nothing is in life in general. But the Five of Wands here feels like this intense conditioning to fight and compete for prosperity. And this subconscious or very conscious belief of, if I wait too long, I will miss out on this opportunity. Or if I don't compete and fight and show up and drain myself, if I don't take action in the ways that I'm being told to or that everyone else is, then I'm going to lose out on this opportunity, or I'm not going to make it forward, or I'm not going to have what I need. But the lesson here is that when you do it from the right point, energetically, spiritually within yourself, when you align yourself and you give yourself the time to do that, and you trust the timing of everything else, because the whole point of this reading, you will know what to do when and how, so that you don't have to compete like this. Because what is actually meant for you will flow a little bit easier. Maybe it's not going to be like snapping your fingers and your wish just manifests. It will still require effort, because part of this is, it's still about learning. The whole process is about learning. But it won't have to be like this bloody war, fighting and constantly struggling. It won't have to be like that. The Tower card again, and both times it's reversed. So you're able to rebuild. You're able to rebuild. Seven of Cups. And you'll have more options than you think, than you could possibly know. And this may be where some of the confusion comes in, because if the solar plexus chakra is imbalanced and you have all of these options and you're not secure in yourself, it becomes very difficult to discern intuitively what is the right thing at the right time. The mind will step in, or the conditioning will step in, or other people will step in and get in your head, and it makes it really hard to discern. It creates more doubt, more impatience, more lack of trust. That is very destabilizing, and that puts you into fight or flight and competition and fear and struggle. And that's not congruent here. That's not in alignment. That's not going to give you the results that you're needing and seeking, and that's part of this learning. So when you're faced with multiple options and you don't know what to do, or you feel like the world is falling down around you and you have to fight to survive, again, it may seem counterintuitive, but stop and slow down. Look inward, because that's where that prize is going to be found. Five of Swords reversed. That's where you'll actually be able to let down your guard, not in the outside world, but internally. And you'll set yourself free. Eight of Pentacles, it did come out reversed. Eight of Pentacles. You won't have to work so hard. You'll still need to be consistent. But it's inconsistency that's kind of driving this false foundation. And it's not about inconsistency of your actions. It's inconsistency of this intuitive action, this aligned action. Judgment, reversed as well. And the Moon. So firming up this foundation and getting back into alignment here to create the results that you're seeking. Ace of Wands on the bottom. To be able to align these actions in a way that is truly, truly creative and manifesting from a place of your core truth as a human being and as a soul aligned with the God source, is to get very clear on where there has been, oh my God, so much illusion and distortion in these motivations behind the experience of the emotion of insecurity or fear, lack, scarcity, lack of self-trust, doubt, intuitive swamping, where it becomes murky, hard to discern, difficult to digest guidance, and difficult to apply it. And your actions will reflect that. They'll become erratic, unstable. It's part of the lesson, though, because remember what we were saying about that trickster fox, that actual wonderful, loving guide? It will lead you astray to lead you back to yourself. It will leave you in the forest, in the pathless woods, so that you have no choice but to trust yourself to find the way out. It will lead you into the labyrinth so that you repeat the mistake enough times that you memorize the maze and find your way to the center, which was always you. The center was you. And in that, you're free. You're free, you're free, you're free. And then you can perform whatever action you want to. Because the contract will have been fulfilled. And the financial flow will be massively abundant. I'm seeing like a rushing river of gold coins clairvoyantly right now. So the massive flow of abundance that you'll be able to receive from that will not only come from this true, really true, fully true, authentic place of security, but it will also build that up. Because nothing can be lost when you are found. Okay, let's take a look at the card. Beta Spirit Wolf, give yourself enough rest. Only then will you be able to ground yourself enough to cultivate focus and motivation to fulfill your path. You will find a way through any tricky situation as you tune into your instincts and trust your own timing. From times of change and uncertainty comes confidence, love, and resilience. Embrace transition. Commit to your tasks and stay focused, but be flexible in your approach. You have the skill to intuitively handle any issue. Now, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but let's skip ahead to the healing process. So if you want to pause and take a look at the rest of the information here, go ahead. Healing process. Give yourself a refreshing, invigorating body rub. Perhaps start at your scalp by rubbing your head in a way that alleviates tension, but is also slightly stimulating. You may like to put slight pressure on the top of your head, the base of your skull, where it meets the neck, and also behind the ears down to the jaw. Then rub your shoulders, especially where your neck and shoulders meet. You may then like to make fists and lightly pummel or briskly rub your lower back and hips. If you wish, you can continue with this motion down the length of each leg and the soles of your feet. When you've completed this self-massage, take some slow, deep breaths and give yourself a chance to ground with gentle, playful movements. Perhaps a few star jumps. Oh, the star. 2 stars and 2 fools, playful movements, star jumps. Oh, I love that. Or even a quick jog on the spot, depending on what feels good. And then say aloud, I have it within me to accomplish my soulful tasks with focus and effectiveness. I trust myself to find my way according to my own heart wisdom and with the strength of spirit that keeps me motivated to continue on my path, while also meeting my needs for rest and replenishment. Recognize that you are a creative powerhouse who refuses to be obstructed on your path. Own your determined, wolf-like badassery. You have completed your healing process. Okay, guys. So that's the message. This whole lesson is bringing you the blessing of intuitive knowing, clear focus, and intentional action. The results that come from that are nothing short of miraculous. So give yourself that gift. That's the message today. I hope that it was helpful. Just take what resonates and leave the rest as always. But I hope that you are empowered to really embrace this task with the knowing and the trust in yourself that you deserve. And if you need help with that process, if you need support, more guidance that is personal or healing, I am offering readings as well as remote Reiki sessions right now as well. So the information is in the description box. Thank you to everyone who has purchased readings thus far. I'm making my way through the list already, and I'm feeling very invigorated by this process. So thank you for that. Big special thank you to the members as well on the channel who support my work, both from the Soul Tribe tier and the Soul Family tier. If you would like to join the channel as a member, you do get access to ad-free additional pick-a-card readings that I do once weekly, as well as the monthly live streams for the highest tier. Thank you all so much for being here, and we'll see you in the next reading. Bye. All right, hi group number 3. Welcome to your reading. You guys were drawn to the Pearl of Sharo card. And I was guided not to look at the book for this particular group. I did for group 1 and 2, so I had sort of a general idea of what the card meant for you guys. I was guided not to look at it, so we're kind of going into this blind a little bit. But as I was just clearing away the table from group 2 and pre-shuffling the cards for you guys, I was getting a message coming through about defense and protection. And so there could be something here in this lesson about self-defense or protection or these defenses that you're putting up, or the ability to kind of hold the fort. Okay, so I'm going to start over here, I think, actually. This is a different deck than I had planned, but It's just called to me out of the corner of my eye, so let's see. What is the lesson? What is the lesson? What is the blessing? I'm hearing past hurts, something about past hurts. And something far afield, or you're looking at something from a distance. Okay, we have compassion. Compassionate self-defense. Compassionate self-defense, perhaps. Or compassion is the best defense. What does group number 3 need to know here about this lesson and the blessing within it? Masculine energy. Well, the masculine is ruled astrologically by Mars, or Mars is that masculine energy, and I'm thinking of that in terms of like the god of war, Aries, again, protection, boundaries, defenses, offense, defense, okay, benevolence. I'm hearing the name Anna, potential. Cherish. I actually wanted to call it chariot. Something about the frontier, or if the final frontier, exploration, space, the final frontier. Okay. Elsewhere, exploring elsewhere. Self-expression. Compassionate. There seems to be a focus on this self-defense through self-compassion. And feminine. Wow. So masculine and feminine coming out here. So there's an internal sense of defense through this loving compassion and the ability to express that. And I'm also seeing the capacity to defend the self or to walk away as an act of self-love. On the bottom, we have calmness and peace. Okay. Let's see what else. Three of Cups. I actually heard regeneration, but reunion is also coming through. Reunion. A reunion of masculine and feminine. Wheel of Fortune. Divine timing. I'm hearing getting the ball rolling. And exploration. Getting the ball rolling. I keep feeling chariot energy. There's the Hierophant. Change. This is the teacher. So the lesson here, I keep hearing past, something about the past. Six of Pentacles, benevolence, giving, philanthropy, potential to share, to receive. They're saying something, I'm getting something about supple hands. Queen of Pentacles. I'm hearing tender, loving care. This is the mother archetype to me, this Queen of Pentacles. So there's something here about the past connected to the mother, possibly even the father, mother and father, and this union within the self. You know what this almost feels like? It feels like self-care through reparenting the self. Going back in time to learn these lessons, to correct past mistakes made by caregivers or in relationships that made you devalue yourself or not believe in your own potential, to have compassion for yourself so that you can get the ball rolling in a different direction, or so that you can have compassion for other people because you're seeing them as a reflection of yourself. And these scales become balanced in the process of that. You're able to give freely, you're able to express freely, you're able to receive as well. Masculine gives, feminine receives. 9 of Cups reversed. And if something is not satisfying to you, or if something is not fully done and it needs to be resolved, if there's some kind of unfinished business, there's a capacity here to return to it, or a need to kind of close out old cycles, is what this feels like. And then from there, this 9 of Cups gets turned around and you're able to explore more potential in different areas for your own happiness. And what is really going to bring that sense of compassionate self-understanding and the satisfaction that comes from that. 10 of Cups, wow, 9 of Cups, 10 of Cups. This could even be about marriage, or potential for marriage, the inner sacred marriage of masculine, feminine, or a literal marriage with the Hierophant here, the priest. Capacity to have children, or children could be involved in this lesson as well. Nurturing a child really does call you to nurture yourself, because you start to see all of those wounds from childhood being triggered. What you're giving to your children may trigger. I'm hearing trigger warning. I'm not going to say a trigger, I don't think, but I'm hearing that. It may trigger things that you didn't receive in childhood. If you didn't get the grace or the compassion, and you had to look elsewhere for it, or you felt like it was not okay for you to express yourself, or you didn't reach your full potential, there could be a lot of emotions that come up connected to that. And they may spring forth out of you when you're confronted with this particular relationship or this family dynamic. Knight of Wands reversed. I'm hearing counterpoint, like a battle of wills almost. And Knight of Cups, 2 knights back to back, both reversed. And they're at a stalemate. It's like a checkmate, but it's a stalemate. You can't fight fire with fire. You've got to fight fire with water. The Knight of Cups here has water. And in this case, the water is compassion. The water is love. It's the only thing that's going to bring harmony. It's the only thing. The Tower card and the World reversed. So there is some unfinished business. And it feels like it's inside you. And the cycle is trying to turn. The clock is ticking. The cycle's trying to turn. Because there's something beneficial in your life that's meant to be born out of this. A new version of you, a literal child. A new sense of expression of yourself that doesn't have to feel so rigid or compliant, or to have these forced walls instead of boundaries. Yeah, there's some stuff from the past here. It's part of the lesson. And the Empress underneath that 3 of Swords. Yes, so something from childhood. So maybe it was from when you were a baby. How you were nurtured or not. Yeah, the Sun, and needing to heal that to restore balance within yourself. Your child, your inner child is needing you to see it and cherish it and see its full potential, to nurture it with this masculine and feminine energy, so that your self-expression can become more compassionate, so that that inner critic or that inner war doesn't manifest outwardly in your relationships or in the world around you, so that you become the peacemaker inside and outside. The Devil, I just split that deck again, and the Devil's there. Let me see what was on top of it. That Queen of Wands reversed. Ooh, the Magician in reverse. I'm hearing something about the magic of time being able to heal all wounds, but time isn't enough when it comes to certain things. It will dull the pain, but if the pain is not dealt with in the right way, or if the emotional healing doesn't take place, then that time is just going to cause things to fester. Death reversed as well, the Death card. The Hierophant again. That skull standing out to me as well. And the Sun again. Something about a son of the first, or the first son. The rebirth or a light of a new day. Feels like the blessing in this is a new zest for life. A new capacity to see your potential and to embrace that, to explore that, to expand on that, and to not feel as though that is limited because of this imbalance within, actually, I was going to say within what? And then it's like within, just within yourself. And it frees up space to explore more in terms of your potential. This childlike aspect of you that wants to be free to express itself and to be cherished in whatever form that expression takes. To have compassion for yourself in the mistakes that are made, or the messes that occur. Understanding that even when you're in an adult body, you still have an inner child aspect within you, and sometimes it can get triggered or take over. And even though you look like an adult in those moments, you're not, because you're responding from a very primal or primitive place, a much younger version of you. And your role in those moments is not to let that go on too long, but to be there with yourself through it. To have compassion for yourself in those moments, to sit with yourself, to be that loving parent that you needed. And to teach yourself how to do that, or to acquire the understanding or the learning that's needed to do that. And a healthy partnership, it feels like that really helps to get the ball rolling. Because if you can have someone to co-regulate with you in those moments, it makes it a lot easier. Or if you have someone who is very benevolent and has this same approach of compassion, who truly cherishes you, that's going to make this process a lot easier, because then those boundaries get built up and the walls come down. And I'm hearing self-assurance. So you feel much more self-assured. And there's less of this capacity to need to prove yourself, or to fight, to defend wildly, and to flail sometimes, because the fighting is coming from a reactive place rather than a grounded, responsive place of security. Okay, I'm being drawn to this animal deck as well. The eagle, freedom, perspective. I'm hearing the long view. So there's something about being able to see into the distant past. I'm hearing what's troubling you, to comprehend what's troubling you, and then also to see into the distant future, where this progress is leading. The frog, healing, purification, transmutation, transformation of the self. Multiple life cycles I'm seeing, the tadpole and then the different stages of the frog. That tadpole still exists in the frog even when it's full grown. And the raccoon feels playful to me, mischievous but playful. And the owl, both of these are in the nighttime. The raccoons also reminded me of family, because they tend to rove around in pairs or in groups. And so there's part of this lesson here is reuniting these parts of yourself so that you can feel truly connected and safe with the people around you. And if the people around you aren't safe and you have to constantly have your guard up, then you can explore elsewhere. Somewhere where your expression is cherished, where it is held with compassion, where it is loved unconditionally or as unconditionally as humanly possible. And this perspective, this bird's eye view, is giving you the wisdom to know who is safe and how to hold that safe space for yourself so that you can identify who's safe and who's not. So that you don't have to constantly be at war. Okay, let's just get a few more here. The cobra, and coming out of attack mode. It feels like calming down the nervous system. Part of this lesson is being able to really give yourself the time to heal. Unicorn on the bottom. Purification and innocence. Innocence, these small parts of yourself needing your attention. Paying attention to the little voice within you, the little you. Octopus, I'm hearing doing too much. Okay. Otter, playfulness, the inner child is really calling for your attention here, group number 3. It's really getting loud. And the beaver, home, family, foundations. I'm hearing building together. So there's a level of stability that's needed here. And a frazzled inner parent or a frazzled literal parent who is multitasking can't ground enough to attune to the needs of their child because they're not attuned to the needs of themselves. So place this how this fits. But part of the lesson here is about attunement. Being able to sense, being able to connect instead of being constantly at odds. Social bonding, I just heard. Yeah, okay, social bonding and the mechanisms of social bonding. There's a partner here. There's a relationship that is either helping this along or is going to help this along. Could be a friendship. It could be romantic. But the otters, they hold hands when they sleep. They stay together with their family. They're very playful, but if you've ever looked up Otter Wars, actually I don't recommend it. I didn't like seeing it, but they're very territorial otters, especially river otters. They're very territorial, and so they will go into these like massive swarms and battle like huge wars. But they're such fun, loving, cute, friendly little creatures. But it's like children. Children are either fun and playful and the light of the life, or they can turn really quick. You know what part of this message is? Emotional regulation. Okay, I gotcha. Thank you, Spirit. Emotional regulation. And the security in the social bonding that self-regulation creates, or that co-regulation creates in connection. Okay, I'm feeling one more deck and then we'll look at the book. I'm going to grab the Energy Oracle. What else does group number 3 need to know here about this process? The Temple Path. Sacred Union, I'm hearing that, Sacred Union. And 5th chakra, Archangel Gabriel, the messenger of the gods. And you had self-expression here. So there's definitely an emphasis on this potential for connection through communication, delivering a message, being able to build on that, being able to connect through communication. 7th chakra, Archangel Uriel, the wisdom of God, and the thinking woman. Feels like, hold on, we'll get 2 more. It feels like contemplation. Goddess of the Moon. This is a very sacred path. And Magician in the Mirror. This is a very sacred path, group number 3. And there's union here. A deep, deep spiritual union. It starts inside of you, and it's probably going to be reflected on the outside in your relationships with other people. They're going to act as very clear mirrors for you. And so the more that you're at war with yourself, the more you're going to see that in the relationships or the types of people that you attract. The more peace you become, the more connected and compassionate to yourself, the more likely those are the types of people you are going to attract. Now, it's not always going to be 100% one or the other, but statistically, it will improve the generation of those relationships that are compassionate, loving, and built on a safe connection. I'm hearing the word portal. Something about a portal to the past. Part of this lessening, something about lessening some pain to close that portal of the past. Sometimes portals to the past remain open unconsciously or subconsciously because there's something unresolved there. And I was getting that earlier in the reading that's coming back up again. So it's like this thing or this emotion, this wound, this experience will keep coming back up until it's resolved. Or this person from the past will keep coming back into your dreams or into your mind, recalled into your memory until that experience is resolved. And then you'll be able to close that portal to the past and only open it when you want to retrieve happy memories or something of value, even if it is an uncomfortable memory. You're going to be able to access it with your will in mind rather than having it be there on sort of autoplay in the background, like a skipping record that you can't turn off. And once you've closed that portal and you don't need it open anymore and you can control it, whether it's open or closed, then you can start to make your way forward. You get the ball rolling in the direction that you're moving. You start to be able to embrace the future and the potential of the now, really, because the future is in the making of the now. And I think sitting with that energy and embracing the healing in the moment is going to be the most important thing in regard to this inner union process and the external ramifications of that. And I mean ramifications in a good way. Okay, let's look at the book. Okay, Pearl of Sorrow. Taking responsibility for your experiences empowers you. You are going to resolve an issue through spiritual inspiration and higher guidance. You will rise up in full connection to your spirit and access a wealth of divine treasure. That which has brought darkness into your world shall submit to the light and be transformed. Have courage and commitment to your awakening, for you are a precious being and can go far on the spiritual path this lifetime. I have this feeling, group, like I have shivers from that too, and I have this feeling, group number 3, that this is the lifetime where you really make some massive spiritual progress. Massive spiritual progress. This is not a mundane lifetime for you. You've lived those, you've been there and you've done that, and you've acquired a lot of wisdom. This is the lifetime for a massive ascension, a massive reclamation of yourself. And through that, the experiencing of the world around you changes. The world will look more benevolent, even if you know realistically that it's not. But it's because you are. And the world is a mirror of you. Okay. Yeah, so it's talking about self-transformation, increasing your goodness, liberation from enslavement. Maybe I should just read the whole thing. For the other groups, I didn't, but for you, group 3, I feel like we really need to dig a little deeper here into this message. So I'm going to read the whole thing and we can experience it together. Sorrow as a Tibetan word, meaning to arise or manifest and shine with radiant spiritual light. Sorrow is the outcome of sacred alchemy. It is the manifestation of the pearl beyond price, created in the depths of the ocean, hidden away in a clamshell away from prying eyes. This pearl symbolizes a beautiful blessing of unexpected grace. It began when an irritant caused the formation of a luminescent coating. The healing response to that initial intrusion resulted in an organic creation of inestimable beauty, value, and uniqueness, so this pearl can be a sacred catalyst. To arise spiritually, manifesting one's own priceless soul pearl, we are required to respond to an initially unwanted situation in such a way that our soul light and power is increased as a result. The soul alchemy evokes the inner pearl of radiant being. Such spiritual wisdom cannot be bought or sold, controlled, nor exploited. It is perfect, nourishing grace, always free, and always radiant with light. It is the inspirational triumph of creativity and healing. I'm seeing the inner child dancing as I'm reading that. In the inner work of self-transformation, we take that which appears negative and utilize it to increase our goodness. However, we need to take care not to attribute the negativities to divine will that are actually caused by humans. Human beings have free will. Without it, there could be no growth, only a following of rules. For the soul, life is something like a multi-dimensional art class. It is allowed to create with absolute freedom, with the understanding that it will be responsible for its own creations. That opens the path for truly beautiful and blessed offerings to the collective. It also opens the path to expressions of free will that create suffering. Whether our choices create liberation or enslavement to pain is the responsibility of human beings. This body has been given to us that we may learn and grow spiritually. We are all in that process, varying in our capacities and awareness, but ultimately processing and progressing together. If some members of our human family are in such pain, they can only create further pain. That is their choice. As a group, we work to heal the causes of that pain to free them, and the rest of us from such a tragic use of free will. When rare and precious members of our human family develop such luminous awareness that exuding light they call us into greater peace and happiness, then those of us who are able to receive and share what they offer do so for the benefit of all. From a deeply pained place of confusion, some souls cry out in anger toward the divine, wondering why there is disease and suffering and cruelty on this planet. We need to understand the difference between taking an ego-created situation and working with it so that it can become divine and believing the ego-created situation was divine to begin with. Spirit does not wish you or any creation to become sick or to suffer. In its infinite resourcefulness and love, with full respect for your free will, which enables you to grow according to your own pace and purpose, Spirit will provide path after path of healing resolution. It is up to us when or if we answer that call. This oracle has emerged in your reading because you have the capacity to become a light bearer. Safeguard your energy, yet trust that light within is strong enough to see you through any struggle and eventually transform it into a precious pearl of sacred empowerment. You have wisdom in your divinely alchemical heart. You shall arise with dignity. Healing process. Place one hand on your heart. Feel your connection to yourself in this present moment. When you are ready, say the following aloud. I assume full responsibility for myself and my life path. I call upon the enlightened heart of the universe to assist me to manifest my divine potential through grace, mercy, and love for the greatest spiritual benefit of all beings. Sense the wisdom and power of your heart. It has the ability to guide you from within and to receive infinite wisdom and healing energies from the universe. Sense that although you walk your own path, you're not alone. Finish the process by again connecting your hand to your heart and feeling what it would be like for you to only make choices that resonated with your heart. You have completed your healing process. I love that it mentions potential. Manifest my divine potential. Divine potential. The benevolent potential of the united self, which is compassionate, loving, beyond divine. Okay, that's the reading Spirit wanted for you, group number 3. The lesson is, man, huge. But the blessing is beyond words. I hope this was helpful. Take what resonates and leave the rest. I'm so thankful for your presence here on my channel, supporting my work and allowing me to continue doing this on behalf of Spirit and for the collective. Thank you to the members who support the channel. If you'd like to join, you can hit the join button and look at the different tiers and options therein. And if you'd like a private reading with me or a Reiki healing session, there's more information in the description box and you can book with me there. I love you and we'll see you in the next reading. Bye.